Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we get started, I want to thank EA for sponsoring this video. It was such an honor to be able to play test Apex Legends Legacy, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that EA and Respawn have given me to be able to capture this early gameplay for you guys. Basically, today's video is just going to be about information regarding the new season, quote unquote, of Apex. I'm going to be going over more of the information and everything that kind of changed and all the things they've added to Apex for this big update. And all the footage that I have gathered throughout the playtesting and all the gameplay, I'm going to be releasing those throughout the days before the launch of Legacy. So keep an eye out for that, guys. But for this video specifically, I'm going a little bit of a different route. And I'm just going to show you guys all the big things that are coming to Apex. And I'm really excited. So let's get started. So the first thing that's on everyone's mind is Valkyrie. Valkyrie is the brand new legend coming to Apex. She is absolutely amazing. I had a lot of fun playing with her in the playtest, and I know that you guys will have a lot of fun when she comes to live servers. For those of you that don't know, she is a recon character, so she's in the same class as Crypto, Bloodhound, Pathfinder. So automatically she gets a passive where she can use survey beacons to know where the next zone is, and she has a bunch of other passives. Actually, she's one of the first legends to have 3 passives, and we're actually going to jump into the first passive now. So her first passive is the VTOL jets, and that's what happens is while in the air you can press space to engage her jetpacks. And this can be set to hold or toggle. I did a lot of my testing with hold, but I will show you guys how to go to toggle later in the video. Basically, if you guys have ever played Overwatch, Valkyrie really reminds me of Pharah. She, has a limited amount of fuel, and she can go pretty high up in the air, but you guys have to remember that with this passive, while she's flying, she actually cannot use her weapons. So there is a slight delay from when you disengage your thrusters that you can shoot your guns, and you can also use directional keys while you are using them as well. And to change her jetpack behavior, all you have to do is go to settings, go to the gameplay tab, and here you'll find jetpack control where you can change from hold to toggle. Another thing to note is that she does have a limited amount of fuel, and the only way that it recharges is if you stay on the ground for a few seconds. So make sure you guys are not using up your fuel recklessly. Now, moving on to her tactical ability, this is going to be called Missile Swarm. Fire a swarm of mini rockets which damage and disorient the enemy. Basically, what these do is they come out of your pack, and it comes out in a pattern, a rectangle pattern. I think it's 12 rockets. And what happens is they stun and damage your target, but each subsequent missile that hits a certain target will actually do a significant amount of less damage. So you don't have to really worry about getting melted by this. It's more of a zoning and a controlling ability than it is a damaging ability. So you don't really have to worry about getting melted by the swarm. Now, moving on to Valkyrie's ultimate ability. This ability is called Skyward Dive. Press once to prepare for launch. Teammates can interact with Valkyrie to join the launch. Press again to launch into the air and skydive. Basically, what this is a redeployable balloon that you and your teammates can actually fly with together after a short delay of charging up. And it works the same way as any other redeployable balloon, and I actually think it goes a little bit higher than most balloons around the maps, whatever map you're playing in. And the cool thing about this is actually where Valkyrie's third passive kind of comes in. Basically, when she's flying, whether that's out of the ship or taking a balloon or using her ultimate, she gets this HUD that resembles what we see inside of a Titan from like Titanfall 2. And while you're in this passive, while you're flying around, you can actually see enemies, and it'll actually ping enemies that are visible to your eye and not behind any cover, and that'll ping it for you and your teammates. So that's something that's really cool about her kit and makes her kind of viable in terms of scouting. Now, the next thing we're talking about is, of course, the bow check bow. This weapon was so much fun to use, and I think it has a really high skill cap. The bow check bow basically excels at anything from close to medium long range and just absolutely destroying anyone that's in its path. This thing does so much damage. As you're about to see, this bow actually does 123 damage to the head without any armor. And the body shots do 70 damage regardless of what limb you're hitting. And keep in mind that this is a fully powered shot, something that you've fully drawn an arrow for. And the bow actually comes with 2 hop-ups. The first of these is going to be the Deadeye's Tempo. Basically, what it does is each subsequent fully powered shot that you hit, you get an insane fire rate buff. And the only 2 ways to really lose this buff are if you shoot a shot, like I did right there, that's not fully powered, or if you hold a knocked arrow for too long and you don't shoot it. Now, the second hop-up that we're going to be talking about is Shatter Caps. Shatter Caps basically turns your arrows from a single projectile into basically a shotgun pattern. It shoots out multiple projectiles that do different damage depending on obviously the power that you are knocking your arrows at, and the distance and the spread of these arrows. And what's cool about this is you can actually use the bow basically as a long range weapon and a close range weapon depending on your situation. And keep in mind that the straight speed with the bow, whether you're ADS or having a charged arrow, isn't that fast, so keep that in mind when you're using the shatter caps. Another thing I want to point out is actually the shatter caps work. They've been added to the 30-30 repeater. I know everyone's had the struggle of trying to hit those hip fire shots, and you know, sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't. And adding shatter caps to the 30-30 repeater actually changes the dynamic of the gun completely. So now you're in the same position as the bow, where you can use it at long range, medium range, or close range. And I think that's a really good addition to the game. One thing I want to point out is that, yes, the triple take is now a care package weapon. It's pretty much the same gun. They haven't really changed too much about it. I think it was a really good change. The triple take is such a powerful gun, and it's not really hard to use, but it has a really high reward when you hit your shots with it. So it being in the care package, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for competitive and pubs. Obviously, with the triple take being in the care package now, that means that the PK, the Peacekeeper, our one and only baby, is back on the ground. I know everyone's really excited about this change. This is going to shake up the shotgun meta a little bit. It's going to definitely be a little bit interesting to see how people choose between the PK, the EVA, and the Mastiff. I'm personally excited for this change. I can't wait to see how the PK being back on the ground changes my day-to-day on Apex. And I'm so excited to use the gun again. Now, another big change that's come to Apex is actually the change to Olympus. Olympus is Apex's newest map, but they've already made a change to it, and the specific area that they addressed was actually between Solar Array and Orbital Cannon, and this area is called Icarus. Now, Icarus is a ship that crash landed into Olympus, and if that wasn't enough, now there are these magical vines from Jack and the Beanstalk that are just infesting this whole area. This goes all the way to Bonsai Plaza. It goes to Solar, goes to Icarus, and I think it goes a little bit towards Orbital Cannon as well. Basically, what this area change does for the game is it enables less of a chance to get choked if you're playing back towards the orbital area, and it adds a fun little change and a new actually loot POI for people to come and contest for, because usually what used to be here was just 2 small buildings, maybe 3 with a car, and that's all you would have over here. There wasn't much to this place, and it wasn't actually a highly contested area. So I'm glad that Respawn actually added this POI, because it was really interesting to kind of play in the test server. And honestly, I enjoyed this change. I enjoyed playing it, and it's really cool to just kind of see how Olympus is already evolving, and it's only been in the game for 2 seasons now. And there's actually something really interesting. So on the ship on Icarus, there's actually what's basically the same thing as the vaults in World's Edge. You have to find a key card on one of these dead bodies of the soldiers or the occupants of the ship before it crashed, and you have to find this red key card on one of these corpses. As you'll see right here, right now, I found this in the gameplay. And what you'll do with this key card is you'll take it to the front of the ship, which is actually the side that's parallel with Solar Array, and you'll go to the front of these doors right here. And once you open those doors, there'll be some goodies inside. I think I'm just gonna let you guys watch this footage and experience the first time that I got to open the vault, or the captain's quarters, if you will. And I'll see you guys right after you experience this with me. Are they fighting? They're fighting. Okay, I'm opening it.
Okay, open it.
I'm opening it.
Make sure you get the content. Get the scenic view. Okay.
Let me see it. Let me see what's in here. All right, don't loot anything. Just look around. Just look around. So as you guys can see, in the vault there are some weapon attachments. There are backpacks, possibly some armor, maybe even some heals. I really don't know what the full extent of the loot that can be in this area is, but it's not terrible. And if you have the key card, I would suggest opening it up and getting some free goodies for yourself. Just make sure you're not gonna run into another team here, because you can get choked pretty easily in this little space, and unless you have a wraith or some kind of way to get out, like with a portal or some other ability, you're gonna have a really tough time fighting. So just make sure that if you are going for this loot, that you have a way out, or there's no team trailing you and you guys are kind of free to get the loot. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a little bit of an unpleasant situation.
Wait, so do I just queue them all or what?
All right, cue them all.
Yeah, cute.
All right, now we're going to talk about the biggest part of the Legacy update, the arenas. The arenas are what Ash describes as the origin of the Apex games that we know and love today. And the arena is basically a 3v3 mode that allows you to fight one-on-one with a team, you and your squad, whether it's your friends or randoms or whatever you choose to do. And it's a mode where you can actually test your skills and really your teamwork with whoever you're playing with. The arenas takes out all factors of third partying, all factors of RNG. It really is just a way for you to test your skills as an individual, as a player, as a team player. And you basically win the arena by winning rounds over your opponents. And you have to win over your opponent by at least a 2-point lead. So what that means is you can potentially 3-0 your opponent or your opposing team, and you just automatically win the entire game. Now, if let's say you win 2 rounds and your opponent wins 1, as long as you win another round and you have a lead of 2 points or 2 rounds over your opposing team, then you'll win the game. However, the game can go up to 9 rounds, and when you get to the 9th round, that's basically sudden death. That means you guys are completely tied. It's 4-4, and the last round winner will be the champion of the entire game. Mind you, I played arenas probably more during the playtest than I did pubs. And that's just because the arenas were so fun. It brought a whole new feeling to Apex. It took out so many frustrations that I feel on a daily basis, as I'm sure that you guys do, with everything that comes with a battle royale. So everyone that got to playtest Season 9 Legacy, we got to actually play on 3 different maps. And those maps are going to be Phase Runner, Artillery, and Party Crasher. Now, Respawn has said that they're planning to release more maps, but these are just the ones that I was able to play. And honestly, I loved every single one of them. I didn't really have a favorite. Basically, all these maps have 2 sides of the map, split down the middle, and there's 2 different POIs. And it depends where the zone pulls, because the zone pulls randomly to each of these locations. But basically, you're playing on either side of the map at all times, or you can be playing on both sides of the map depending how your team style is and how you guys want to play the match. But as you can see right here in this gameplay right here, I'm standing right next to a pill, and the objective that I found with my teammates was that these pills hold meds that you otherwise would have to buy during the start of the round, and meds are not cheap, especially batteries. And batteries are really important in arenas. So each pill will actually contain 2 batteries, 1 Phoenix kit, and 1 med kit. And so I feel like a good strategy would be to always kind of bum rush the pills in the middle, and that way you kind of have a health advantage over your opponents. Granted, everyone spawns in with 2 shield cells and 2 syringes anyways, but having big heals really can change the tide of a fight in any given moment. So I would suggest that you guys always try and go for these pills and try and get that advantage over your enemies, just by having bigger heals and more heals in them. Now, keep in mind that all of these supply bins always spawn next to a crafting materials bin as well. And crafting materials are really important in the arena because that's what allows you to buy your guns, your abilities, and your heals at the start of every single round. Each crafting bin will give you 200 materials for your whole team. It doesn't matter who grabs it, but as long as someone on your team grabs these bins, you will get 200 crafting materials for every single teammate, and that will translate over into whatever round you're playing next. And that's kind of what we're going to get into right now. This is the last but most important part of the arena, the shop. Now, the shop's going to be divided into 3 main areas, and that's going to be your weapons, your consumables, and your abilities. Now, the way that you purchase all of these items is with crafting materials, and the way that you earn crafting materials is basically by going through the rounds. And the amount that you earn depends on how many kills you got in the round prior, how many canisters you got, and how much you saved in the last round as well. Also, the higher the round number, the more crafting materials that you get. So, you know, when you're going on into the later game and the games are neck and neck, you're not going to be, struggling for money, but you do have to be able to spend your money in a way that's efficient for what you need to get through the next round or to win the game. whether that be your abilities, some nades, some heals, but most importantly, your guns. Now, your guns you can buy for a base price, and they will always be set at that price at the start of every round. But to upgrade your weapon, it costs more and more money, and therefore you need to be wise with how much you're spending on your weapons, what you want to upgrade, and because each tier from white to purple comes with different attachments and different hop-ups. So make sure you guys are spending your money efficiently and wisely. That way you can go into the next round with enough money to get the things that you need, and that way you don't need to really save too much money. Now, for those of you guys that are kind of confused how this works, this is basically an ecosystem that revolves around money to purchase your abilities, your items, your weapons. And if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's very, very similar to the types of ecosystems you see in games like Counter-Strike Global Offensive or Valorant. The amount of money doesn't really determine how well you're going to do in the round. All it does is determine how prepared you are for it. Ecosystems are daunting at first, but with enough time and practice when arenas drop in Apex, I guarantee you guys are going to love this update as much as I do already. But that's going to wrap up the video for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so excited for Apex Legends Legacy, and I hope you guys are too after watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this kind of content, make sure you guys leave me a comment down below telling me why. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys subscribe down below and also hit the bell icon to get notifications when I post new videos. And if you guys want to see this kind of content live, make sure you guys follow my Twitch channel. Links will be in the description down below. And I hope you guys all have an amazing day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.